Well, let's get some analysis now with Zaid Eyadat. He's the director of the Centre for Strategic Studies at the University of Jordan, and he joins us now from Amman. Thank you so much for joining us, Zaid. We understand that this emergency meeting of the Arab Ministerial Committee has ended in Amman, where you are. Do we know anything about what's emerged from their gathering, about this uptick in violence in Israel and Palestine?
Yes, for sure. Thank you for having me in a way. But let me correct something in your introduction. You've said that Minister of Foreign Affairs in Jordan, Ayman Safadi, has said or has called for preventing non-Muslims of entering the mosque, Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is not actually accurate. I think it was taken out of the context. He was saying for non-Muslim to visit the mosque, they have to go through organizational procedures with the Ministry of religious endowments in Jordan, given the status Jordan has over the holy sites in Al-Quds in Jerusalem. So this is only just to correct some of the info. And yes, a few hours ago, that meeting has ended, and has ended with a very strong message to Israel and to the international community for Israel to stop its escalation, its assaults on the mosque and on the worshippers, especially in this part of the month and part of the year, and also calling for the international communities to take those stands to support the Arab League efforts, including Jordan-led efforts on this, to stop these assaults and the Israelis' trial to change the historical and legal status quo of Jerusalem and the holy sites and also the Aqsa. And this, with the strikes on Gaza reminds us with what had happened a year ago with, Sheikh Jarrah, Jerusalem, and the 11 days bombardment of Gaza. So the situation is actually about why Israel is doing that and what are the causes for that, and how can the Jordan, Palestine, and Palestinians, and then the Arab League, the international community, stop these Israelis' measures to change, as I said, the legal status of the city and the legal status of the mosque. Obviously, there is a clear strategy and a plan on the Israelis' part to introduce on-the-ground measures that will end up of changing the divide of the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the legal and historical status on the ground. And, this is something is protected by international law and by agreements and treaties, and Israel cannot unilaterally do that.
Yes, sorry to interrupt you there, Zaid, because I do want to ask you more about the status of the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. We know that that's considered one of Islam's holiest sites, but we also know that Jewish followers also consider it a holy site for their religion. They call it the Temple Mount. So what is the legal status of Al-Aqsa compound right now, and how is Israel trying to change that status?
Well, it is contested for sure, but under the agreements with the UN resolutions and all other treaties, the mosque is considered an Islamic holy site with its entirety of 144 dunams, which means everything in the mosque, under the ground and above the mosque itself, is actually a holy Muslim site, where there is no recognition of the Temple Mount or of any Israelis that claims to have any kind of shrines or holy sites in there. Now, we know that Jerusalem is a home for all religious holy sites, whether Jewish or Christians or Islamic. However, when it comes to the Al-Aqsa Mosque in particular, these claims by the Israelis about the Temple Mount that being, buried underneath of the Al-Aqsa, and, historically over the last 30, 40 years, trying to dig in tunnels, holes, finding any ways in order to find that temple. But I think, historically and legally, there is nothing supporting these claims. And all what Israel is trying to do is by force and by just de facto daily practices and measures taken either by assaulting on the worshippers on the mosque itself or allowing the settlers to just invade and get into the mosque and replace or harassing the Muslim worshippers who are in Ramadan, they go there for prayer. So the legal status, it is very clear. This is an Islamic site. There are Israeli claims that not supported by any legal or historical evidence. Now, all the time, Jordan, Palestinians, and others were calling for Israel to negotiate the status of Jerusalem at large as a city and then the holy sites, and trying to find a way that guarantees peaceful access of all religious holy sites for all religious followers. But the Aqsa Mosque, there is no dispute, nothing about the fact that it is a pure Islamic holy site.
Okay, Zaid Eyadat, we will have to leave it there, but thank you so much for clearing that situation up for us, and hopefully we can speak to you about the issue in the future.
With a pleasure. Thank you.